Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein scandal has created him a lot of allies within MAGA. First, it was his voters who abandoned him for all of, it was 24 hours until the cult came crawling back. Similarly, with Elon Musk, who broke up with Donald Trump, and now it seems like they're buddies again. But someone who it seems as if Donald Trump has lost completely as it relates to this Epstein scandal is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is actively declaring war on the president for actually a whole host of issues, as we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Marjorie Taylor Greene is going on the offensive and actually attacking Donald Trump, I want to start with an update that we need on the Epstein files and why Marjorie Taylor Greene's opposition to Trump is so key in this exact moment. And we get it from Ro Khanna right here. Standing in the way of a vote on the release of the Epstein files, which would be so damaging for Donald Trump for so many reasons. One, because it might mean the release of the Epstein files, but two, it's going to have Republicans in Congress voting up or down on releasing the Epstein files. You're telling me these swing district Republicans are going to feel comfortable voting against that, and it's going to make Donald Trump lose his mind. He'll attack them, and it'll be so damaging for the midterms. But the biggest obstacle we have right now is whether the Republicans who claimed that they would sign on to Thomas Massie's discharge petition will actually keep that promise. And it looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene actually is, and she's also keeping an important promise to fight the administration in a different way that we can check out in this article right here. Marjorie Taylor Greene flips White House the bird amid MAGA civil war. One of MAGA's feistiest congresswomen has yet again knifed her own party over the Donald Trump administration's handling of developments in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. "I told them, you didn't get me elected. I do not work for you. I work for my district," Marjorie Taylor Greene told the New York Times in a wide-ranging interview from her Capitol Hill office on Monday. Greene claims to have made the comments after receiving word from a White House aide that backing an ongoing bipartisan congressional push for further disclosure on the Epstein case, as she consistently has since earlier this month, would be received as a very hostile act. The firebrand Georgia Congress representative apparently called the aide right back to tell them she wouldn't stand for it. "We aren't supposed to just be whipped on our votes because they're telling us what to do with this scary threat or saying we'll primary you, or that we won't invite you to the White House event," she explained. Greene is currently just one of 4 Republicans alongside Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert to have signed a bipartisan discharge petition to force a House vote on whether to demand the Department of Justice release further documents pertaining to Epstein's crimes. Greene, a long-standing proponent of conspiracy theories about Epstein's crimes and death, has now emerged as an aching thorn in the side of the Trump administration over the issue. She claimed the White House's handling of recent developments in the case has crossed a red line for even staunch MAGA supporters like herself, repeatedly torn into her party colleagues for their perceived inaction on the matter, begged with Trump to meet with the traffickers' survivors, and even threatened to read out the names of Epstein's alleged accomplices in Congress should she ever get a hold of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene also hit against the Trump administration on a different issue, the genocide in Gaza, saying you can't unsee dead children. She said of her decision earlier this year to become the first member of the Republican Party to describe the conflict as a genocide against the Palestinian people. That's not fake. It's not war propaganda. They're not actors. And journalists getting murdered and blown up, I don't see that happening in any other war, and that's shocking to me. Now, I want to make a very clear distinction here because I think it's important. Marjorie Taylor Greene herself is not right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is echoing talking points that are right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a champion for women and those who have been hurt by abusers. If she was, Donald Trump wouldn't be the leader of her party. She wouldn't have built her entire personality around that man. So let's not get it twisted here. Like, I'm not going to do wow, Marjorie Taylor Greene with a really swell point. You got to hand it to her. When in the hell did Republicans ever fucking hand anything to Democrats when we agree with them? They just push back against us. There was an entire bipartisan border deal written by the most conservative senator, alongside, of course, a bipartisan coalition of Democrats. All we did was laud it as, look how conservative we can be on the border. So conservative on the border, so conservative on the border, which, one, I think is idiotic. I think that we should follow Democratic policies because we're Democrats. And if we think Republicans have good policies, then why are we Democrats? It doesn't really make sense to cede that ground. But never, not once, did a single Republican go, wow, these Democrats, I really like what they're doing with this border policy, because they would never do that. So I'm not going to give Marjorie Taylor Greene a big bouquet of flowers for pretending that she cares about the Epstein victims. She doesn't. It's politically advantageous to her in this moment. And so she is pushing back against Donald Trump really more than anything because she's mad that she didn't get the nod to run for governor or Senate in Georgia. I know I'm going on a bit of a Marjorie Taylor Greene rant here, but I don't want this shit twisted. Marjorie Taylor Greene still only cares about herself. Sure, she's fighting with Trump. She's fighting with the White House. I also can't commend her on the fact that she is calling what is happening in Gaza, which is a genocide, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that from a place in which she wants to continue to push anti-Semitic rhetoric. She doesn't actually care about the Palestinian people. It's actually gross how she's kind of using this as a prop to pretend like her normal bigotry has a red line, and that's not actually what this effort is. It is completely different than someone like an AOC, a Chris Van Hollen, someone like Bernie Sanders calling out this genocide. Like, it is totally different. So I don't want to act like Marjorie Taylor Greene is some saint. I know I went on a long rant there, but I wanted to preface with this. Fantastic. I love that there is this fight happening with MAGA. I love that there is a civil war. I love that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a thorn in the side of Donald Trump. No, I'm not going to praise her. Not even a little bit. But I am going to get myself a little bit of popcorn. I'm going to take some snow caps, and I'm going to pop those open and just sprinkle them on top. And I'm going to do a little bit of this. I'm a big snow caps guy. I also like if you do peanut butter M&Ms in the popcorn. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff right there. So I'm going to enjoy that. But no, I'm not going to laud Marjorie Taylor Greene. I feel like we've gotten into the habit of that. I'm not going to give these people credit. I saw Jon Stewart do that. He was talking about how there was a Democrat talking about Ted Cruz saying what Donald Trump did with Jimmy Kimmel went too far. And it was like, I really got to give Ted Cruz credit. It's like, or you don't. Like, we don't have to. Oh, it was Jimmy Kimmel who said, like, we don't have to give Ted Cruz credit. That is my long rant. But what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing is politically savvy. Sorry to admit that. For an important reason that I think Senator Ossoff, maybe I should just be on a last name basis with him, really diagnosed right here.
Which is that Trump, in my view, is a symptom of the deeper corruption in our politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it that we have a demagogue who promises to tear it all down, elected twice to the presidency? It's in part because much of the American public has lost faith in our political system.
Totally agree.
And with just cause. Since Citizens United, this political system has been corruption on steroids. And that is a big part of why policy doesn't serve ordinary people. So as Trump poses this sort of radical threat to the rule of law and the Constitution, things that we have to protect, we can't just become mere guardians of the status quo. We have to be about change.
We know that what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing right now is just trying to find the issue that is most politically expedient for her. And she has. It's corruption, whether that be the corruption of the Israel lobby paying off all of Congress. We saw, over 30 Democrats condemn our allies in recognizing a Palestinian state. Every single one of those Democrats should be primaried and kicked out of Congress. I've had enough of that. But we don't like people who are beholden to a corporate lobby like AIPAC. A foreign lobby is what it really is. We don't like that. We don't like people that are beholden to corporate PAC money, whether it be from big oil, from the NRA. Like, we don't want that. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene has tapped into, the corruption that we hate from the wealthy, the well-off, and well-connected. And Democrats need to take up the mantle of fighting that. It cannot be something that Marjorie Taylor Greene beats us at. We got to be stronger. We got to be tougher. We're going to call it out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. If you want to support the show in a different way, you can become a free or paid subscriber to the Substack link below. As always, keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.